Hi everybody, so I have my little Blythe doll here with me today, and she's modeling some really simple little stockings that I'm going to show you how to make. These are just above the knee. You can make them as long as you want or as short as you want. They don't require any type of pattern, and they're very beginner friendly. And in fact, they're also useful for recycling if you have some old t-shirts you want to recycle. And this video is part of a group of videos that my sister Terry Jeanette over at Tapping Flamingo and Be Creative are putting together as part of the Virtual Blythe Retreat Grunge Fashion Taster that we're offering for everybody for free. If you want to be part of the group that's doing this, make sure you join us over on our Facebook group called Blythe Doll Buddies. It's free to join us over there right now, and she and I are putting together a series of workshops where we're going to turn one of our dolls into a cutie patootie grunge fashion doll. Okay, so this is one of a series of videos, and if you want to make sure you catch all the videos, obviously subscribe to this channel, subscribe to her channels. I'll put links down below, and make sure you join us over on the Facebook group so you can share pictures and see what everybody else is making for their dollies. All right, so I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what you need to make these super easy, very basic stockings that do not require a pattern and very little sewing experience too. In order to make your doll stockings, and let me say this technique you can use on pretty much any size doll. You just might have to alter the size of the fabric that you use depending on the size of the doll's legs that you're doing. I am using some fabric from a shirt that I'm recycling, and it is basically like an old t-shirt here. This is cotton with some stretch to it. You can see it's fairly thin. You definitely need some stretch. So some cottons, like if you were going to use quilting cotton, that's not going to stretch enough. You need some stretch for this. So you can see here, this is quite stretchy. Okay, so you're going to need, if you have an old t-shirt, this is a great way to, do some recycling of your old clothing. Okay, so get your fabric wherever it is, and you're going to cut out two pieces that are 3.5 by 2.5 inches, so a rectangle. Okay, if it doesn't have to be perfectly exactly that size, but that's about the size you want. I also recommend, of course, having your basic sewing supplies: a ruler, scissors, needles and pins. Obviously, you're going to need some thread that's going to match your fabric. I'm making white stockings, so I have white thread. And then I recommend using little clips like this. You might be able to use binder clips if you don't have any of these, or even you could probably pin it. But what I like about these little clips, they're pretty secure, and they are not going to punch any holes in your fabric. So these are very, very handy, inexpensive. You can find them at most sewing supply places, Walmart, Amazon, etc. They're, like I said, they're not very expensive, and they're handy for all kinds of crafting. All right, let's get our doll. I have a little doll body that I'm using here. You don't have to have just the body. It's just, I happen to have one, so I'm going to use it. But this is a Takara style, or now Good Smile Company traditional style Blythe doll body. If you use a different body, that is fine. In fact, you can use the same technique for really any type of doll. For example, here's an A-zone style body. This could also be used as well. I just know that I am going to be dressing a traditional stock doll with these stockings, and so it makes sense for me to, use this type of doll body. But if you want to use a different doll body, just, switch that out. All right, so you're going to take your rectangular piece of fabric and wrap it around one of the legs. And these stockings are a little past the knee. So like here's the knee joint. It's a little bit harder to tell the joint on these. Obviously you can see the knee joint better on something like this type of body. But I'm just going to go a little past the knee. They're kind of like almost thigh high. And you can make them longer or shorter, depending on what you want to do. So let me flatten her leg out again. All right, so got her down here. I am going to wrap the fabric around her leg, and you probably guessed it, take one of these pins or these little clips and clip it all in there, okay? So you want to make sure definitely you've got the footsies covered. So let me cover the foot. I'm going to start with the foot. because we want to make sure that the foot's covered. If you start at the top above the knee and then you don't have enough for the foot, that's problematic. So go down there. Like I said, you can just make you would make it longer. Remember, this is a rectangle, so if you wanted it to be higher up, you just make your rectangle piece a little wider, a little bit longer. All right, I have the clips on here. And keep in mind, this particular fabric, you really can't tell the front from the back. I mean, I don't think there's a front and back to it. However, if you had fabric that maybe was colored on one side and white on the other or something like that, after we stitch it, we're going to turn it inside out. So you would want whatever the front is facing the leg when you're pinning it on. Okay, you're clipping it on here. All right, you can see I have it all clipped on. And now I'm going to thread a needle with some matching thread, and starting from the toe, I'm going to hand stitch all the way up as close to the leg as possible. Small stitches, remember, small stitches, because if you make it too big, this is going to stretch out when you start, handling it, and that'll give you holes. Okay, so just take your time, maybe turn on a video from Piececraft Dolls over on YouTube and watch one of my videos, and just hand stitch all the way down here, straight stitch, little bit, little bit, little bit, take your time. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to start it up, and then I'll be back to show you, and then I'll finish it off camera and then show you that part. All right, I've started it up. You can see I went ahead and left the little tail there just so you can see where I started on the foot. I will trim that off when I'm done here. And I just am hand stitching a straight stitch from the toe all the way down. Now, if you want to start from the other end, that is your choice to do so, but I have done a few of these now, and I found that starting from the toe and working my way up it just feels more intuitive for me. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. So yeah, I'm going to go back to stitching all of this, and I'm watching some videos, and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like after I get it all stitched up. I'm almost finished, so I thought I would show you. Here it is. I've been hand stitching tiny little stitches all the way up her leg. All right, so I'm going to finish off, be right back, and show you how to trim off. Obviously, we have to trim off some of this excess fabric. Okay, I'm done stitching all the way up her leg, and I pulled it off. You can see the stitches right there. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim all the way around to get rid of this excess fabric. Now, here you have to be careful. You don't want to cut. You don't want to cut your stitches. So you need a little bit of, I would say I'm going to cut maybe 1/8 of an inch away from the seam. So I'll start down here. Cut a little bit off. Double check it. That's about right. Then I'm going to just keep trimming all the way up, and I will be right back. All right, so I trimmed it off. Before I turn this inside out, I'm going to take a minute and just double check my stitches on both sides. You'll notice, I mean, for me, one side looks way better than the other side. And one little thing I try to do is I'll double check my seams here and see if there's any holes missing. Especially I have struggled around the toe area, so I can tell already. I see a big old stitch there. So I can see, like, look. All right. So before I turn this inside out, I'm going to take my needle and thread, and I'm going to do a couple of stitches right there. I think everything else looks pretty decent. Yeah, see, I'm just going to go. This thing I'm using is called a thing. It's called a purple thing, even though mine's pink. And it's something I use with sewing a lot. And I mentioned this in one of my, I have a video series on my playlist called Sewing for Blythe Dolls. And this is one of the things I use a lot in some of those videos. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm going to double check. I'm going to double stitch right around here. And then I'm going to turn it inside out, and I will be right back. All right, I reinforced the toe. I'm ready to turn it inside out. I use a pair of pliers for this. Hemostats also work. Or, you know, you could also just do it by hand and just take your time there. I'm going to go through here. fold this like this, get it started. You just want to be gentle so you don't rip your stitches. All right, take the little thingy again, turn it inside out. Now, of course, there are plenty of patterns out and around in the world, and I know there is a free stocking pattern from Creative 404 on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and look for the channel Creative 404, she has a free pattern you can pick up from her website. She has it linked there, and then she also has a tutorial on how to use it. All right, so I am going to finish getting this inside out, put it on my doll mannequin, and come back and show you what both of them look like on the dolly. Okie dokie, she's got her stockings on. Yeah, so that's pretty easy, a very easy way to make a pair of stockings. You don't need a pattern, you just need a couple pieces of the fabric, needle and thread, basic sewing supplies, and of course your doll. All right, and yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know how it went for you. Yes, I did not, by the way, I did not finish off the edges. If you wanted to, you could fold it over and hand stitch them before you turn it inside out. I am making this for part of a grunge fashion costume that I'm making for my doll. My sister and I are doing this as part of a virtual Blythe Retreat Grunge Fashion Taster that we're putting on our channels. She's over at Tapping Flamingo, and we also have a Facebook group called Blythe Doll Buddies, and we will be posting the supplies list and everything for all of the projects that we're doing for this little virtual Blythe Retreat Taster. So I purposely didn't finish it because I wanted it to be kind of raw looking, you know, sort of look like she cut them off or whatever. I mean, but if you wanted a more finished look, and you could just, like I said, before you turn it inside out, fold it over and hand stitch the top. Or you could fold it over, hand stitch the top when it's a rectangle, and then wrap it around and stitch it, and then turn it inside out. But if you're okay with it looking a little rough, this is what you'll end up with. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by and spending a little dolly time with me. Have a wonderful dolly day. Bye-bye.